Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases. Hello, everyone. Glad you're able to join us tonight. If you're new to the channel, absolutely welcome. Tonight, we have our special guest, Mrs. Steves, with us tonight. If For all the longtime subs and members, everybody remembers Mrs. Steve, but right now she's also traveling back and forth to Georgia and between Georgia and Florida. But tonight she's here, and fortunately, she was here to do some testing with me as we did some recreation for BG. And so tonight we're going to be covering recreating the BG image on the bridge. And while you're in chat, if you're new to the channel, be mindful and be respectful of mods, families, and each other. And just throw your questions into chat as we go along, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can tonight. After this show at 9 or whenever I get through all the questions tonight, I'll be going over to Christian behind the crime door, and I'll be on her show. So if anyone wants to follow me over after this show, please do so. But with that being said, let's get into this part of it now. If you have any information regarding this case, absolutely make sure that law enforcement has it. For as the trial moves forward with against Richard Allen as being the offender regarding the homicides of Abby and Libby, they have to have all the information, and that includes for the prosecution and the defense, and so that law enforcement can follow up all the other leads and all as we move forward in this trial. And hopefully we will have justice in the coming days. But with that being said, one of the things about the CSI recreation, if y'all had seen last week when we did the other first part of it, me going out with my mannequins and playing with them out in the road and trying to recreate multiple feeds and uploads versus direct transfers from storage, to see what the pixelation problems would be, because as the trial moves forward, one of the largest and one of the biggest points that the prosecution and the defense will both be making and presenting to the jury with their own narrative of what is the image of BG on the bridge. Is that Richard Allen? What makes it Richard Allen? What doesn't? What has been edited on the image? How clear it is? What is pixelation? And one thing that with this latest test, I discovered something even more to the fact that when you're at the Monon High Bridge, the phone signal there is not great, guys. I mean, you're down to one bar. And one of the things we have to understand at that level of interactions, or the upload speed of a phone to a tower, would anything be able to be uploaded to the cloud to start with? And from my testing last week, and even with the testing this week, I don't think so. I think that the images were when you look at and you read some of the narrative and the probable cause affidavits, they mention the phone, and then they mention the video almost in the same sentence, which means from the law enforcement standpoint that yes, the video came from the phone itself, storage, not so much the cloud. And that's just my personal opinion. I know there's other creators out there that have other opinions on that, but we'll be looking at it. And we have part of tonight's show. I created a still image for you so that you will be able to go out and we have a little inner challenge for you so that can you calculate BG's height? And so you'll see it when we get to it towards the end of this presentation. But anyway, with that being said, let's get into it a little bit more. One of the images, and I'm going to show the videos right quick, is that if you look to the left side, these are the uploads. Now, this upload here I did during a high peak time of day where the systems, it's at the highest volume of and low bit rate on my end. And you're going to see that even with the uploads that I did on this particular day, that they're extremely pixelated, blurry, out of focus, absolutely not so much out of focus, because when you look at the video itself, which is on the right, these are basically the same videos. But what happened is when I sent it uploaded to the cloud, that the volume for that day and whatever our bit rate was on this particular test period and test time caused far more pixelation than I would have ever imagined. And so whatever happens when I do these tests, I put out there. And you'll be able to see that. But I'm going to show you the video here right quick. And so just bear with me. We're going to remove that. I'm going to stop my cam. And then I'm going to go to my video file. And we're going to pull up let me go see if I can, it's not doing it on that one. So let's go video file and let's get an image. Here we go. There we go. All right. So here's the video.
70.
As you'll see, Mrs. Steve is taking a step forward
50.
And moving back and
40.
forth. We have her dressed up as a
30.
PG, wearing
20.
a blue jacket, ball cap.
10.
And so anyway, so and we did this, and then I uploaded this video directly. Let me get my camera back to working. There we go. And so we uploaded that video, and I did it two ways. I sent one to the cloud, and as you see these, as we progress through these slides, everything to the left side that says upload was what was sent to the cloud. Everything to the right was a direct transfer from the iPhone to my laptop. And so you can see that the direct storage with Mrs. Steve is at 60 feet. You can see some details. I mean, this may be pretty close to what law enforcement may have been able to work with and sent to NASA, and they work with, because you can see eyes, you can see part of the mouth, nose, and a basic outline. And so with this direct feed, that it was a little bit better. And like I said, what's on the left side is the upload for this day. Absolutely nothing that you can make of it for those high peak hours of whatever's happening with the cell towers in the area I was working with my swamp network, evidently. And but then we did it at 50 feet. And once again, it's been reported and by others out there that the distance from where Libby was taking the video to where BG was around 60 feet. So here at 50 feet, once again, you start seeing a little bit more clarity. On the left, it's still, like I said, the upload on that day, absolutely, you can't tell hardly there's even anything out there. And of course, I have a full body, and then I have just the head. And there's no way that law enforcement would have been able to work with some type of upload that if there was poor cell connection or between the iPhone and the cell tower that resulted in anything on the left, you're not going to be able to go in there and create any type of or enhance in any shape, form, or fashion. Whereas on the right, if you took it directly from the iPhone storage, once again, you can see the eyes, you can see the nose, chin, mouth, and it might be something that NASA, Disney, that with the high end or the massive computer that they have, that they may have been able to go in there and work with these images to the right versus what's on the left. And then at 40 feet, once again, it just steadily gets better and better. 30 feet, like I said, on the left still, for the upload on this particular day, it's absolutely none. There was nothing that would allow us during those peak hours to get anything uploaded with the cell signal that we had for that day. Whereas on the right at 30 feet, yes, you can start working with that. 20 feet, same thing. And then, of course, at 10 feet, if you look at it, blow it up, you can see that, yes, we know it's Mrs. Steve dressed up as BG. And but we wanted to create this so that y'all would be able to look at this, move forward, and go on with it a little bit more. All right, let's go into chat before we get too far ahead of ourselves and try to keep up. Hello, Mr. Farmer. Good to see you. Jacqueline, good to see you. Miranda, Barbara Hall, as always, great to see you. And if y'all don't know who Barbara Hall is, as y'all watch this video throughout the week, she is the mother of Timmy Dees. She's been fighting for justice for a long time, and we've been working with her for quite a spell here now. And we're hoping to get some meetings with the authorities that can help us get justice for Timmy. All right. There's UFO Bro. He's here. Thank you. Good to see you. Marion Tate. Nana 73. Elevate the Process. Jill Moser. Scott Daly. Sparky. I like Sparky. Nanar. See-through. Uh-oh. Somebody's setting off our camera systems. There's DP. Good to see you. Mustang 65. Hey, Molly. Molly's glad to see Mrs. Steve. Excellent.
I got a white vehicle coming to the house.
Okay. That might be your delivery.
Oh, that could be. Okay.
All right. Lori wanted to know how is the babysitting going with the babies.
Well, the babies are good. When they're together, that is exhausting. But it's fun. It is fun. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Miranda Lee says Mob Crew is live right now. Yeah, I think he came on around 7, if I'm not mistaken. Kimberly Lutz. Let's see here. Yes, there's a lot of storms out west. If y'all are involved in those storms, y'all take care, monitor your weather far more than this show. Y'all can come back and watch it later. And, yeah, Wallflower, yes. You're still in the severe weather, absolutely. You stay with your weather alerts and take care of that. Miss Cunningham, good to see you. Big Bird. Oh, man. Barbara says hello.
Hey, Barbara.
Just trying to get caught back up with chat. Don't want to get too far behind as I normally do. Hello, Todd. And Todd can probably explain better about some of this stuff than I about the pixelation and the uploads and downloads.
They're leaving now.
Yeah. Ooh, Matt had a head-on collision. Extremely sore, head, neck, and body. Get well soon, buddy. Recover soon. See-through, here you go, Bob. See-through says, True Crime Web, would it change the quality if Libby was just panning past him in order to record Abby, motion blur, etc.? In my video, if you'll see that my hand at some points on some of my videos is in the edges of the frame. And the camera, as you can see on the right, both of these videos, we did multiple one of them, but all of them are just like on the right, um, um, but taken with the same camera, but uploaded differently. And so even with the video on the right, I had a part of my hand at times in that video, and it didn't take the phone out of focus. And I also, during my testing, I would turn the phone on towards the ground at around 4 feet and then pan it up to where Mrs. Steve was, and it would still come into focus. So I did different things trying to keep or make the phone stay out of focus, and it didn't, either from my hand or going from the ground up. And there is something also with this video. Let me show y'all here. 80, 780. Now, let me remove that. If you see these line of white flags on your left, that's at 10 feet. I had little white flags put 1 foot apart. For the part of this test was to see at around 4.5 feet elevation from the ground, if my phone was up, how much area is lost by the camera lens to ground from 4.5 feet. And it's somewhere around 9.5 feet that you lose of bottom. And I'll try to stop it here. 70, 60. See, just as soon as I say 60, the 9 to 10 feet of flags disappear. So the phone, the bottom view of what would be under your feet. And I always wondered about that. How much perspective of distance is lost from the bottom of the phone to through that angle? And it's somewhere around 9 to 10 feet. I found that interesting. And you'll see this, like I said, when I think it was Gray Hughes, when he was doing that they estimated the distance somewhere around 60 feet by certain markings on the bridge. And so, but I don't know if they calculated in the angle of the lens and what might be missing as far as from the perspective of the holder to that missing distance. Just don't know. Because I originally thought that, well, maybe it's only like 2 or 3 feet down, but it turns out it's around 9 to 10 feet. That if you hold that camera somewhere around 4.5 feet up, it's almost up 45 going out in front of you. All right. Now, let me get rid of that and bring this back up. And like I said, when we get into that. And now what we want to do is that, and this is where I'm talking about that you can see between these two. I created a slide so that you can see the camera view. Bottom line, line of sight is around 9 plus or minus feet lost in screen when iPhone is held at 4.5 feet of height. And the reason I included this slide is for our next slide. For all you mathematicians out there and people that would trying to estimate BG's height on the bridge, I created this. I put some items out there that have known height and width. The item on the left is a shipping box. It's about 5 feet long, but the dimensions of it, as it lays, is 5.25 inches wide by 5.5 inches in height. That is on the same plane as Mrs. Steve's. You're looking at her, but if you were standing in her position, next to her right foot is this shipping box. and those are the dimensions that's right at her ankle. So you can take possibly and make that measurement and try to calculate Mrs. Steve's height. Um, we know what's on Mrs. Steve's driver's license. I'm not going to share that with you currently. If anyone has any idea and wishes to calculate this, send it to me. Also, some of the calculations that were done, they were talking about, can you do it by the width of the cross ties and the length of the cross ties and invert them to come up with height. I included another image that she's standing on a flattened shipping box, that the box actual length is 41 inches. But as you can see, there's a slight bow when Mrs. Steve was standing on it in the road, and I measured that, and it takes off about 1/8 of an inch, that slight bow overall. So from edge to edge, from the two outer edges of this, it's 40 inches and 7/8 in length. So if you wanted to take those measurements, I gave you a couple of different ways of maybe being able to go in there, see if you can come out with a formula either and try to estimate Mrs. Steve's heights, because we see so much with BG on the bridge that everyone says that he's from 5'2" to 6'4". Um, and so we're going to give you, anyone that wants to try this and let me know. I'm going to try to do it myself, but the only, I have
You cheat though.
I can cheat for the fact that I know about how tall Mrs. Steve is. Very few people, other than the ones that have met Mrs. Steve, know, is she tall? Is she short? What is she? And I don't know if we've mentioned how tall you was or how short you were in any of the other videos. But just from this slide here, if you would, any of y'all that wish to try to estimate that and come up with some type of formula, and I will we'll share that information in a future video. Are they talking about it?
Todd, BG is the same height as RA, coincidentally. That's priceless.
Oh, me. Yeah. All right.
So yeah, you got some more questions.
Okay. Let me get over here and see if I can get into this thing.
Oh, that's priceless. Molly, my math ain't mathing. Man, it's priceless.
Let's see what else we got in here. Let's see. AJ is here. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. And like I said, guys, don't forget that after this show, we're not going to have a long show tonight. I want to get ready and prep for going over to Christian Behind the Crime Door, as always. She's been a great supporter of mine and has been a long-time member and everything else. And we appreciate everyone that supports our channel. A1, good to see you. Gail Hurd's here. Elevate the process. Everyone's happy to see Mrs. Steve.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, Big Bird, be careful out there in Arkansas. We was just watching one of the weather channels or one of the YouTube channels that cover that. Absolutely amazing, those storms. I'll be traveling out that way in just a few weeks. I'm going to try to miss those storm fronts.
Please.
Who's to say it wasn't the front-facing camera? The camera I was using is the same as what Libby had. The i6S is the type of phone I was using, and I was holding it in the whatever format that is, up and down versus.
You were holding it portrait, not
landscape. Yeah, that's the word, portrait.
Portrait.
Thank you, Eileen. That's very kind of you. True Crime Time. Good to see you. AJ. Uh-oh. Mrs. Steve gets a favorite time.
Oh, thank you, Lynn.
$10. Great recreations
Look
on the
at it.
BGM.
Give me this space. Look at that. Thank you so much. Haven't done that in forever.
Oh, me. Mrs. Steve loves her blue light. Uh-oh. DB says, well, the video could be cropped as well, and so we don't really know the perspective. Um, you, you know, law enforcement knows the perspective, and they cut out and they blowed up, and they could they have cropped it from the original? Absolutely, but still, from those known values, because you can go to the crime scene and identify exactly which cross tie BG is on, and be able to go out there and measure either the height of the known height of that um, parallel or cross member of the that runs um, uh, at 90 degrees to the cross ties, and have that known height of that edge cross tie, or you can measure knowing which cross tie he was on, the length of it, and invert it. And that's how come I did these two things. I gave you a vertical and horizontal, both of those known distances, so that you might be able to, in the perspective, and even gave you the height of the phone. We don't know what the height on the phone is for Libby, but I would imagine it's going to be pretty close, somewhere around 4 um, to 5 foot. Uh-oh, true crime time. Here you go, bud.
Oh, perfect.
Mr. and Mrs. Steve, I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for your support.
Thank you so much.
And here's what Mrs. Steve was. BG is still the same height as Richard Allen, coincidentally.
That just cracks me up. Perfect.
And this is something to understand, guys, that how tall is that gate behind her? And I could tell you, but it's like most gates, but it's considerable distance behind her with a slight grade up. Not much. Probably the grade that's up to her is probably only 4 or 5 inches, and it's probably close to 25 to 30 yards behind her. And that would be like some of those trees that's behind BG on the bridge. Same perspective that you would have. Gail Hurd, Texas Rose. Hello, Kimberly. Elevate says, I'm with Molly. Their math isn't mathing tonight.
Mine either. Mine never is mathing.
Todd says, are you certain that the box that, if you see where Mrs. Steve is standing, and if you look to the right-hand side of it, you see her 2 feet, and that's the length of the box. Absolutely 41 inches long is the length of that. That's running horizontal on the ground. Now, where she's standing is kind of dark right there. That's her shadow standing on the box. Just to the right of her right foot is where that box ends. If you look at the cutout, you'll see where the red arrow is. The 2 red arrows point to the ends of that box that is horizontal, and that is 41 inches long. I've measured it and remeasured it, just like the a good carpenter would to verify that it's 41 inches long. So yes, Todd. So you'll have that. Nan R said YouTube kicked her out.
Uh-oh. Shame on YouTube. That Big Bird needs to go back to the drawing board.
But an iPhone 6 has 2 cameras.
That's 2 cameras?
I think he's talking about if it was turned around and he's doing the mirror.
Yeah.
The camera I used is the one, I did not do the mirroring. I did the one that, whereas you're looking at the screen and you're looking down, and that's what I've done all mine with. I did not do it with the mirror. But I think almost all smartphones or devices have that ability to mirror. TJ, did Libby actually send a Snapchat to people, or was it just discovered on her phone? The Snapchat photo is different, I think, and I don't know if this video is part of Snapchat or not. I have no idea. I don't know anything of that. The testing I did was to see if you uploaded it to the cloud to check for compression and pixelation due to that. Between last week's videos and this week's video, you can see that the direct transfer of storage from the iPhone memory in both cases, regardless from last week's video to this week, there's a dramatic difference in the quality and drastic distance of between the pixelation of what occurred between the uploads and downloads versus a direct transfer from the iPhone to my laptop. And like I said, we have to consider that being on that bridge that day and having been there with the testing that Mrs. Steve and I did, even with trying to check our pings, that there's very little signal strength at that location. And I was all the way down into the crime scene itself. And there were times down there that it would just absolutely lose and say that you're within 5 miles or within this 5-mile circle. And then as you move, sometimes it would pick up and say that, you know, it would give you a different mileage, or it would give you that you moved 300 yards in 2 seconds or something. And some of the times the returns were accurate. They weren't every time wrong, but you just don't know which times that when the signal was good and it gave you an accurate that, oh, here I am, versus a weak signal that might be saying that you're 5 miles away. We just don't know. And all of that is going to be some great information that we'll get some clarification on from testimony from the experts that will be talking about that, because that will be another part that would be brought up to the jury. Gail Hurd said, Mrs. Steve is such a good sport. Yes, she is.
I'm used to it.
She stood out there, and it was probably almost 90 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And she stood out there wearing that jacket and wearing that cap. But it's a lot better.
And I never said a bad word.
And never said, that's correct. Never said anything. And even when, you know, anyone that lets you drag them through the woods or cover them with sticks and leaves, you have to give them heads up. Case closed says, is there a way to get the adjusted length to girth ratio? I have no idea exactly what that is. All I can tell you is that from what we have here, I gave you some known distances, And just like you would be able to go to Monon High Bridge, go to that exact tie and make the same measurements both horizontally and vertically to get that information. I don't know what is meant by adjusted length to girth ratio. That's above my pay grade. It's not a mirror. It's another camera. It's facing forward. The camera you used was the rear facing camera. I used the camera that's on the front of that when I look at the diagram, the camera I used is what they call the camera on the face of the phone. That's all I can tell you, DB, is that when you pull up an image of the i6 phone, it will show you where the cameras are, and those are the cameras I used. If some signals were inaccurate, then the test wasn't conclusive, right? No, you still have findings. Anytime you go out and test something, whatever those findings are, you know, I just go out and I document those findings. And each of us has to value those and give it weight to whatever we believe it is. So that when I was at the scene, that um, the test that we were conducting as far as the pings and the signal strength and everything, it was to see how accurate they were. And it was a discovery we made for the fact that, that at no point was I 5 miles away from where Mrs. Steve was sitting at the cemetery pinging my phone.
I would have had a heart attack.
Yes. And, even when she's at Freedom Bridge and I'm at the crime scene, I'm still not 5 miles away. And that was the thing that wanted us to go back and make sure those pings and do that. So there were findings from the test. Now, what those findings are will mean many things to a lot of different people and their opinions. I'm not here to tell you that my opinion is the only one that counts. Everyone out there that looks at this stuff and anything I do is to look at it, analyze it, and give feedback, discuss it. I just tried to bring some information so that regardless of what findings you have, and scientifically, can you repeat it? And does it draw some type of finding? You can look at one word in English language and ask 10 people, and they're probably going to give you 10 different variations of what even that one word means. And this data is the same way. When people look at data, and you're going to see that the prosecution and the defense, they're going to look at this data too, and they're going to give you two narratives, and they're going to be polarized. They're going to be on opposite sides, but it's the same thing, and that you're looking at, and it just depends what the experts say and what weight we give those experts. Mustang 65. Uh-oh, you got a warning?
Yeah, we got some issues with Nightbot. We know about them.
After you completed your experiments, did it confirm your original thoughts about BG? I do have an opinion that there was some editing that occurred to those images of BG. I believe that when it was sent off and came back, at some point, someone may have went in and edited out items such as a firearm or something in that 48 frame loop that we see. I think it's 48 images, but whatever that number count of screenshots are or images. But in that loop of second and a half, second and 3/4 loop that we watch of that step. And that's what Mrs. Steve was trying to do when you look at our video, making the step back and forth, because I wanted to see what it would do as far as movement and everything. But yes, I still think that there was some editing on it. Now, I haven't done any calculations as far as bridge guys' height um, or any of that at this time. And that's how come I want y'all to try to come up with someone that has, if someone hits it dead on, I'm going to ask them, what's your formula?
Not yet.
Look at they're trying to get. Did you play volleyball or not? No. You didn't play volleyball?
No. What? You know I did not.
I don't know.
Mine didn't start with a V.
Scott Daly's here. Good to see you. Now, Mrs. Steve may mislead you too. I don't know if she played volleyball or not.
No, I did not. That was not my sport.
We got people already guessing. Mrs. Steve is 5'5". No. True Crime. Well, 6S was the first iPhone with live photo, the moving still photo, which gives 1.5 seconds of images. Do you think it possible that the BG video is actually Libby taking a photo? I don't think so, for the fact that in the FBI affidavit, they mentioned the video of a certain length, and that it continues on from my memory. I'm doing that from memory. Cold Truth is in the house. Good to see you. See-through is given. Oh, man. Everybody's talking, giving different heights and things. Oh, me. All righty. Okay, guys. Well, we've been here about 45 minutes, and I just wanted to do this quick video. Like I said, I'm about to go to Christian behind the crime door, and so we're going to have a little bit shorter show tonight. We appreciate everybody being here, and if anyone wants to go over and follow us over there, absolutely, we'll appreciate it. And I think we got, we got both of them, and
We did.
we thank everybody for being here tonight. Nan R says, I can't even try on the mathing.
I'm not a mather either, Nan, so don't feel bad.
But anyway, anyone that wants to go out there and try to calculate Mrs. Steve's height, send me that email. And then if we have someone that is able to do it, I'm going to be doing my own experiments, but I just don't want to have that bias, because I know exactly, but I'm going to come up with a couple, 3 different formulas and see if I can do it independently. But anyone else that wishes to join me in that test, absolutely do so. But anyway, guys, we appreciate everybody for being here tonight. We thank you. Absolutely make sure if you have any information on this case that you make sure the prosecution, defense, or law enforcement has it. But and Todd says that he will calculate Mrs. Steve's height. Great research. And we appreciate it, guys. Y'all stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for the warm welcome.
Hi.
See you soon. Let me end it.
I will.